I'd just like to start off by thanking everyone for the incredible support so far. From all the views to subscriptions and shares, it's all been greatly appreciated. So, what I'm going to go over in this video is a breakdown of the basic framework of how I strategize my matches, followed by a few examples of how I apply that framework. If you haven't watched them already, I would recommend watching my beginner's tutorial as well as my burning bricks tech video before watching the rest of this one. I've included links to both in the description below. Before deciding on a strategy for your match, there are 4 basic things you need to take into consideration. The first, your character's drop pattern. The reason it's important to consider your character's drop pattern is because you can expect your opponent to be waiting for your counter gems to build their power blocks. For example, you would want to avoid crashing too many loose gems at the beginning when you're using players like Hagar or Bison, since they have easy drop patterns for your opponent to turn into power blocks. In contrast, if you're using Dante or Jill, you have more freedom to crash a few gems without contributing too much to your opponent's power block. The second thing you want to take into consideration is your character's skills and support. The pace that you crash your power gems is going to be extremely dependent on the skills you decide to use. In general, you would equip skills with smaller power blocks if you want to play fast, as in constantly creating and crashing small power blocks throughout the game. And in contrast, if you choose larger power blocks, you want to build larger pushes before crashing. I just want to make note that you're still playing fast with the larger skills, but you're just not crashing the gems or blocks as fast. As for your support characters, for the sake of keeping things a bit more simple in this video, just keep your support team within the same affinity colors for now. When you have a better grasp of the game, it'll be easier to know where and when to use other characters. The third thing you want to take into consideration is your opponent's drop pattern. Leveraging your opponent's counter blocks to build your initial push is key. At the beginning of the match, the only counter blocks you'll be receiving will be from the bottom 2 lines of your opponent's drop pattern, because they wouldn't have had enough time to build anything bigger to access the third line yet. Anything after roughly about the 20 to 30 second mark is when you basically have to be ready for larger amounts of counter blocks that will be accessing the third line and above. And the last point to take into consideration is your opponent's health and support characters. You don't have to remember the exact numbers, but what you need to do is have an idea of how much damage you need to produce in order to win. I just separate all the characters into 3 categories to keep things simple and easy to remember. Low health characters, X, Jill, Morgan. High health characters, Bison, Hagar, Honda, and Blanca. Everyone else I consider medium health. As for your opponent's support characters, you want to pay attention to support characters who have abilities such as heal, boost, and stun. Now let's take a look at a live example.
Bow down before my psycho power.
Puzzle fight!
Alright, so since I'm using Dante, I know I have the flexibility to send over some small trash without helping Grumps too much with his power block. I also have a 2x4 as well as a 2x3 equipped, so ideally I have to destroy as many 2x4s as possible since it will deal both the 2x3 and 2x4 skill damages. And for support, I have Dan on the 2x4 and Bison on the 2x3. The reason for this is so that after my initial push, if needed, I could crash 2x3s and still do a decent amount of damage, whereas if I had Dan on the 2x3, he would be boosting my following crashes rather than doing instant damage. As for Bison's drop pattern, he has one of the easiest ones in the game. When I'm using Dante against him, I like to build on the side, so yellow and blue while throwing my trash in the middle. And in terms of health, Bison is a high health character. From experience, I know I need to destroy roughly 3 to 4 2x4s along with a super to take him out. Lastly, he's using Ken and Dante as support. Ken does damage over time and Dante has that 1-second stun. So I would take all that into consideration. What I'm going to try to do is use the bookmark method to build 2 2x4s on each side if possible. So I'll be dropping all my blues on 5 and yellows on 2 until I build them 4 high. But since Bison also drops yellow and blue on columns 2 and 5, I'm going to stick most of my double yellows and double blues in 1 and 6. If this all sounds a little confusing at first, just restart the replay a few times and you'll see what I mean.
here's the finale. That's how you do it. In your face! In your face! Sleep it off, baby.
I'm going to have to end this video with this one example for now. This video actually took me a lot longer to put together than I expected, but at least now I have a framework to work with. Going forward, I'll use this framework to go over in more detail some of the strategies I use with different teams and against different characters. I hope you guys found this helpful. Cheers, everyone.